When I tell you the designer behind Spec Ops: The Line has teamed up with the guitarist of 9 Inch Nails to develop a horror game for Blumhouse, you're probably picturing something dark and trippy. Well, that turns out to be an understatement because the brand new game Sleep Awake is a surreal and often psychedelic descent into post-apocalyptic madness. It's like a 90s music video come to life, complete with a rockin' soundtrack and a mystery that's guaranteed to get under your skin. Yeah, you might want to brew another cup of coffee because we're about to review Sleep Awake, the debut release from Eyes Out. Things are not going well for Katya. She's stuck in a rundown apartment where she spends her days gardening and pretty much doing everything in her power to keep her grandmother from falling asleep. Just outside of those walls is what remains of a once thriving city, now completely destroyed by a disaster that everybody calls the Swell. This is a dangerous place full of crumbling buildings, roving death cults, and possibly even otherworldly forces. Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to tell what's real and what's just an illusion because Katya hasn't gone to sleep for like a really long time. You see, as bad as the outside world is, it's sleep that's the real enemy here. When people fall asleep, they're at risk at being taken by the hush, leaving behind little more than a person-sized outline where they used to be. To combat the very natural act of sleeping, Katya drips chemicals into her eyes, something that helps her stay awake, but also comes with some rather unfortunate side effects. For one thing, she's constantly seeing visions of a woman who seems to know a lot about what's going on. Is she a hallucination, maybe a guide, or something else? Hey, wait a second, where'd she go? And where am I right now? Believe it or not, that's basically how it feels to play Sleep Awake. Forget about having an unreliable narrator. Katya has this problem where she'll suddenly realize that she has no idea where she is or how she got there. This leads to one of many encounters with the outside world, a wonderfully realized retro-futuristic dumpster fire of a city that has been destroyed beyond all repair. It expertly walks that line between being a disgusting hellhole that you wouldn't want to live in and giving you a real glimpse into what the city would have been like before the Swell. It's a believable setting filled with a heavy atmosphere and haunting and surprisingly gorgeous moments. In that sense, the game actually reminds me a lot of BioShock. It often feels like we're a tourist in this post-apocalyptic world, so even the smallest details can help to flesh out the much larger narrative. You'll walk into a bedroom or business that is otherwise unimportant, but the more you explore the surroundings, you'll find that every nook and cranny tells a story. These small details help to suck me in and ground me, something that is incredibly important given how this game just jumps around and tries to confuse both Katya and the player. Now, as I mentioned at the top, Sleep Awake is the debut release from Eyes Out, a new studio developed by Cory and famed guitarist Finck. It really is the perfect match as the two styles mesh well and lead to some fascinating imagery. The game throws every effect it has at you, even dipping into full motion video for some of the visuals. Honestly, there are bits in this game that you could splice into a 9 Inch Nails video from the 1990s without anybody noticing. From the fantastic music to the setting, there's just a cool rock energy running throughout this entire game. After an absolutely wild introduction that is simultaneously compelling and baffling, Sleep Awake ends up falling into that trap of being a far too conventional stealth horror game. There are a number of sections where you're going to need to sneak past death cultists and hide in the shadows for safety. There's no combat in Sleep Awake, so whatever you do, don't get caught. Run, duck, and, run and duck, because that's pretty much the only moves that Katya can perform. When you're not hiding from cultists, you'll need to explore the surroundings and solve simple puzzles. There are fetch quests, but they're so simple that I'm not even sure they're worth bringing up. For example, you'll occasionally run into a door where you're going to need a key card. Oh no! But don't worry, because that key card is usually no more than just a few feet away. often in the same room as the locked door. This is basically true no matter what you need. There's never a bit where you're going to have to go backtracking, and you're never going to be confused on what you're supposed to do next. This extends to the level designs, which are excessively linear. Sure, there are a few sections where you can choose between multiple paths, but those are mostly the bits when you're trying to avoid the guards. When you're just exploring, the path is extremely simple, to the point where there's really only one way to go. This is one of those games where, as luck would have it, the one clear path just so happens to be the direct route to where you need to go, every single time. Now look, I would argue that Sleep Awake is at its best when it's bucking conventions and taking us on a trippy, brain-scrambling roller coaster ride. It just loses some of its charm every time it veers into trying to be a more traditional game. If they were going to add puzzles, then I wish they would have been a little bit more elaborate or even weirder. This is a character who's having a hard time recognizing what's real and what's not, and it would have been really fun for the puzzles to lean into the unreliable narrator trope. For a game that's this trippy, it's a real shame that the puzzles are so straightforward. Look, it's easy to be disappointed that the more traditional game elements aren't more unconventional, but I don't think any of that is going to be what you remember about Sleep Awake. The bits that you're going to be talking about are going to have nothing to do with boneheaded puzzles or linear level designs, but rather it'll be the twisted story, the crazy visuals, the unique storytelling, or how you interpret that ending. This is one of those games where the experience outshines everything else. There's so much art and style thrown at this game that it almost doesn't even matter that the stealth bits feel out of place. And that's something the horror genre does extremely well, no matter the medium. Like so many of the movies that Blumhouse makes, this is a horror experience that doesn't need a sequel or to be part of an expanded universe. It just needs to be creepy and atmospheric. A cool ride through a post-apocalyptic dystopian world with trippy visuals and an energy that feels like a 90s music video. And that is exactly what Sleep Awake delivers. I have a hunch that this is going to be one of those games that sticks with me for a long time to come. The designer of Spec Ops: The Line and the guitarist from 9 Inch Nails have come together to make the year's most unforgettable game. Sleep Awake is a trippy and often surreal look at a world without sleep. With the city crumbling all around you, we're treated to a beautifully realized and expertly crafted world full of small details that tell their own stories. One could argue that it's a bit linear and the stealth sections aren't that much fun, but the momentum of the mystery and the hallucinatory storytelling easily makes up for any shortcomings. This is a strong debut performance from Cory Davis and Robin Finck's Eyes Out studio, and I can't wait to see what comes next from this collaboration. Hey, thanks for watching my review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. Now, here's the question I have for you. What's your favorite standalone horror game? I'm talking about a game that didn't get a sequel or a spin-off or anything else. Can't wait to see your picks in the comments below. In other news, we're going to be back later this week with more reviews, including a review crew episode. While you wait for that, I strongly recommend you click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then,